Well, with summer coming to a close, Congress will be coming back to Washington this month after their summer recess, and boy, do they have a lot to address. One name you've probably heard a lot this summer is, of course, Jeffrey Epstein and the drama surrounding the pressure on the Trump administration to release those Epstein files, which has taken over the House and the Senate.
Now, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is threatening to sue the White House if the files are not released, posting on X in August, quote, "They're now breaking the law to hide the files. Senator Thune must appoint a lawyer to defend the Senate in court and get the files. If he chooses complicity, we'll take them to court ourselves."
Democrats have even found themselves tipping their toes into the trolling pool of the Epstein issue this summer, hoping to widen a crack between Trump and his base. Joining us now to look ahead at the Democrats' priorities as we head into the fall is the Hill's Niall Stanage. Nice to be with you, Niall. How fun this is to have us all on stage.
Yes.
Amazing. I had no idea the budget stretched to a third chair. must have sold off some of those garden furniture bits and pieces we had at the start.
Well, we didn't get our table.
We lost the table.
Happened.
We don't have enough money. We got to put out the tip jar for table. If you in the comments want it so badly, we're going to have to set up a little charity for it.
Absolutely.
All right, well, let's get to some serious business while we still have time, unfortunately. What can the Democrats in the minority party right now in Congress, as we resume operations, what are they looking to accomplish?
I think they're looking to accomplish basically keeping the spotlight on issues that are as helpful for them as possible and as unhelpful for Trump as possible. Obviously, they can't pass legislation, minority in both chambers. That does clearly, self-evidently, really reduce what you have the capacity to do, but you can try to cause some embarrassment or try to push Republicans into difficult votes on Epstein and other matters.
So Robbie's trying to convince me that nobody cares about Epstein, which I won't accept anymore because now you done got me reeled in. How do you feel about what Democrats should do or not do for pushing this issue forward past September?
I don't agree that it's all over. I think that that's a bit of a stretch. Because I think that it is something that has a capacity to, if not completely divide the Trump base, at least cause some unease there. Because there were a lot of Trump voters who genuinely did believe that he was coming in to drain the swamp, to expose certain secrets that were out there. And this cuts very hard and firmly against that narrative. So look, I don't think it's going to bring down the Trump presidency, but I think it's a bad political issue for him and one that crosses party lines to a degree in a way that most others don't.
Now, in all seriousness, I agree with that. And it's not so much the voters or that he's going to lose approval points, but MAGA influencer type people who want to maintain credibility with their audiences made this into a big issue, focused on it a lot, and so Trump puts them in an awkward position of having to either criticize him or just kind of avoid the issue, which speaks to their credibility and just dampens their enthusiasm somewhat for the MAGA project. I think that's how it hurts and why it is smart for Democrats to keep focusing on it.
Yeah, and as well to that point, that influencer discontent makes it harder to just say, well, it's just the Democrats or it's just the liberal media, because in fact, it's not just either of those groups. It is some of those influencers. Are their motives always pure? Not really. Are they partly about engagement and keeping people riled up? For sure. But there is a legitimate issue here to be explored.
I've been seeing some positivity in the Democratic Party. One, that Senate Democrats held more than 100 events in the first week being home. They, were released for summer break and they were talking to locals, something that people criticize them for doing, for feeling detached from the everyday American. And then also I've been watching Governor Gavin Newsom and how he's getting ahead and meeting Trump fire with fire. Jasmine Crockett's been also doing that all summer. Do you think these two strategies are what's going to push the party forward through the rest of the year also? Well, and all the way to midterms, actually.
I've mixed feelings about that. I think Newsom has drawn quite a lot of attention to himself, and that's probably good for his presidential ambitions. He's obviously, or whoever's managing his social media, is obviously taking a very Trumpian approach, and it's definitely, as I say, drawing attention to him. Things like the town hall meetings, I think that politicians should hold town hall meetings, but they are, I'm not sure ultimately how important they are, whether they go badly, and we've seen that happen to some Republicans who have got criticised by people in attendance, or whether they go well. I think the bigger issue for the Democratic Party is speaking to and addressing the concerns that people actually have. Those town halls can be a stepping stone to that, but you have to coalesce around actual policies at the end of the day. And I think that's where the difficulty or the challenge still is left for Democrats.
If I'm the leader of the Democratic Party...
Any day now, Robbie. Any day now.
You got this, Robbie.
Put me in, Coach. I'm ready. Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, I think they have to be looking ahead to midterms. There's still ways off. Anything could happen. With maybe a little bit of unease because historically the party out of power picks up seats, does well. There are signs that they could do well. Certainly, it's very close. You could easily imagine them retaking the House. I think it's a huge stretch to imagine them doing well in Senate races, but they could retake the House. But they certainly don't seem. That doesn't seem like a certainty. If you look at the generic ballot for Democrats, Trump's approval hasn't come down enough, and theirs hasn't risen as it has in previous cycles. Now, Trump's name won't be on the ballot, which is actually a advantage for Democrats because he seems to turn out low propensity voters who actually like Trump. This whole thing has been scrambled, but I can't imagine they're looking at it with a lot of certainty that they're going to do well.
No, I mean, obviously the hope is that they do well, but not that certainty. And part of the reason is, as you mentioned, these polls that show the Democratic brand really getting very low approval. Now, against that, I would push back a little on the Trump thing. Some of the polls are okay for him. Some of them are quite severely underwater. There's a Reuters poll, an Economist poll, where he was like 14, 16 points below the line. But the question is, does opposition to Trump prove to be enough of an animating factor to get Democrats over the line in the midterms? We'll see. I don't think it is a guaranteed thing. And there is, in addition to these general problems of branding, there are real divisions in the Democratic Party about how far left you want to go on economic issues, how much you want to engage in identitarian type of politics. There's the issue of Israel and the Palestinians, which divides the Democratic coalition in a big way. All of those things are pretty substantive dilemmas that the Democratic Party has yet to solve.
Yeah, that's something that I think we've been looking at the whole year so far is where Democrats are with their rebranding after Kamala's loss. And we've even had guests on where we asked them, okay, what are the strategies? And they're like, the strategies are talking to the people, getting in touch with the people. But to me, to be this close, and even though we're far to the midterms, it's kind of like, well what policies, and I know you're looking into this daily, what policies are actually being presented that you've seen that there is a little bit of lockstep on? Because I don't know, I'm not positive about any specifically.
No, I think that's right, that there is not, the party is not in lockstep on any of these. So if you look at the New York mayoral race, which we've spoken about quite a lot, Mamdani, yes, he genuinely is a socialist. I mean, when that label was first applied to him, I was like, oh, this is just the usual scare tactics. And then you look at the old tweets and they are legitimately those of a pretty left-wing socialist. But on the policy prescriptions, we've spoken here before about things like the provision of childcare universally to everyone. That's a policy that has obvious appeal and addresses a very real problem that working parents have. So things like that, I think, have the capacity to gain traction. But even those kind of proposals are getting some pushback from more centrist Democrats.
Yeah, and even if that proposal might be popular overall, it's not part of an ideological package that Democrats have decided on. Because there's Bernie-type people, Mamdani, AOC, who definitely want to go in one direction and can probably make the case that, well, we've tried everything else and it hasn't worked, so you should let us do our thing for once. And other people saying, but if I poll, maybe not that policy, but the word socialism, it does badly, so you should do it our way. And I don't see them, they need to sort this out.
And then there's Pete Buttigieg and Obama who are constantly in the forefront criticizing the party now. Not constantly for Obama, but Pete Buttigieg, pretty much every chance he gets tells them what they did wrong. So I don't know, I think there's still a lot of soul searching to go. But we got to figure out if AI is going to spark a blue collar bloodbath. Stay tuned. We'll tell you more after this.